My name is Bilal Zafar. I am a professional stand-up comedian. I have been I've been, I guess, since 2016, where I've been properly sort of paid for it. Before that, I did like a media degree at Bolton Uni. That's how I know you. Started stand-up in my last year at uni, kept doing it, and then luckily things took off in 2016. And I've got little bits of TV stuff and some film acting stuff as well. But mainly stand-up's my main thing. And since lockdown, I started doing Twitch, and that's become a huge thing for me now. It's really taken off. So that's the main thing for now. I was actually very, very lucky because I am friends with Limmy, who's a very, very popular Twitch streamer, and people might know him from Twitter. And he had a sketch show um, a while ago. I think like I don't know, like 5 or 6 years ago, it might have ended. Um, and I was just sort of talking to him about Twitch. I thought because especially so basically with lockdown, the majority of my work is live work. That's like the majority of my income by far, and it literally disappeared overnight. Like I was meant to do the Edinburgh Fringe this year, so I was working towards that. Obviously, it just all went. So I was feeling awful, like I was really feeling panicky. And I thought I'll give that a go. I thought I'll do give something on Twitch a go because it seems quite interesting. Um, and it's very popular now. It's sort of constantly growing. And I said to him, I want to give it a go. And he said, look, he said, stand up's not going to be back for ages. He said, dive into Twitch head first. And I literally just did that. I just did my best. So, like, I mean, it didn't, because the thing is now, so at this point when I'm speaking to you, I get on Twitch, I think my average viewers might be like 400 live viewers, loads more catch up after, which is great. So usually I get at least 300, but I think 2 weeks ago it went up to 1,000 on one stream because it was our cup final, and it's like everyone had to be there live, which was quite funny, which I couldn't believe. I honestly thought I was going to give Twitch like a couple of months and see what happens, and I thought maybe I'll get like 50 people sometimes, but the way it's gone now, it's just become a whole thing. Um, and I'm so glad. I mean, it's the best. I feel like it's the best decision I've made for years. Really, it feels like I've started stand up again in that way of like it's really exciting. There's a thing I can work on, and luckily, I guess because of the stand up as well, I've got a bit of an audience already, and I'm gaining. Throughout this last like month and a half, I've been doing Twitch. My numbers on all my social media have gone up massively. It's a lot of fun. Like, so I've had the weekend off, and now I'm really excited about doing it tonight. All I'm gonna do is, because today I'm just gonna improvise. I'm not gonna do anything crazy. I'm just gonna introduce a new character, and I need to figure out what accent to give him. That's the only thing. And then we're gonna do some games, play some actual matches, and yeah, it's gonna be mostly improv tonight. And it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it feels like I'm doing a comedy show. It's that same feeling that I get where I'm very nervous before, and then once I get into my stride, it's just yeah, it's a lot of fun. I said it, so it's a bit weird because I just kind of said it in a bit of a rant. I didn't sort of mean it in a serious way, but a lot of people picked up on it because what I meant was is that I'm doing these shows. I do a thing on Twitch where the main thing I do is that I play the character of a football manager who's like a bit of a mess as a person. And I'd say the best way to describe it, because it is a bit weird, the best way to describe it is that it's a interactive, improvised comedy sort of play is what I'm doing. So the chat in Twitch sort of join in and give me ideas, and I sort of bounce off them. And sometimes I plan a bit of a story out, but usually it's just improvised and stories just sort of create themselves. What I meant with the working class thing was that I realized when I was looking through Twitch, because you get recommended other channels to watch, and I realized that a lot of them are Glaswegian, because I'm friends with Limmy, who we're sort of in the same sort of network now, I guess. Um, and a lot of them I realized are most people I see on Twitch are just not like posh people. It's like a different type of person. And also, I think I was just getting a bit wound up that week. I think what happened is that since all these the Black Lives Matter protests and everything's been happening, I've seen a lot of people in the arts that are like from like a middle class sort of background talk about how things should be changed to accommodate working class and like BAME, I guess, you know, Asian and black people and stuff. And a lot of the stuff they're saying doesn't make any sense. And it feels like I get it that they mean well, so I don't have a go at them or anything, but it just felt a bit patronizing. And I remember growing up that my entertainment was always TV, a lot of TV comedy, because I had two older brothers that they were both teenagers when I was little. So lots of great British TV comedy, films, you know, obviously on TV, some occasionally at cinema, and video games were our main thing. Weren't that into books? We should have been really, but wasn't a huge reader. And I'm now, other comedians and other people that I work with are like people that grew up going to the theatre and musicals. So I always feel quite out of place talking to them and stuff because literally I don't, you know, I've seen a few plays. I've not seen anything that good, really. I've not been to see Hamilton or anything like that. I could try harder to be fair. So I think I was just in a bit of a not bad mood. I just got a bit angry and passionate at the end of one of my streams, and I said that Twitch is the theatre of the working class, and everyone loved it. I do a thing where I do press conferences as the manager, and all I do, my background changes to one that you'd see on the BBC or Sky Sports or whatever. And I just started taking questions from the chat, but taking it really seriously. And the great thing about the stream has been everyone just plays along. Like at the start, I had a few people ask me like what difficulty setting I'm playing on and all of that, and I was like, that's not the point. But now it's like people would say, oh, and I've got a thing as well. My character in the stream is just a bit right wing, just for the sake of it. And so I'm always talking about the news attacking me, the fake press attacking me, when they're asking perfectly reasonable things, you know. So there's a lot of that. It's yeah. So that's just something for me to bounce off. Another way I think it's worked really nicely is like suggestions just end up happening. Like so for example when my team we were losing quite a lot and was going through a tough time and everything and I was being all frustrated, you know, and then someone in the chat started pretending they were from Pez Fan TV, which what that is that there's a thing called Arsenal Fan TV, which is where very angry Arsenal fans started YouTube videos where they're just shouting outside the stadium, and it got really big. It got loads of views, and loads of other football clubs have copied it, and so that's our version of it. It's angry football fans on YouTube that hate me basically. They hate the manager, and so that became a bit of a thing, and I kept referring to them as so-called fans, and I you know had a go at them a bit. So then what I do every Wednesday is that I have a guest come on for the first 10 minutes or so. So I've got it set up so it looks like I'm sitting in my office and there's a TV screen there and they come onto the screen. It looks quite good. And first I had Josie Long, the comedian, as the owner of the club, which was really nice. She's like a billionaire, clueless about football, you know. We had Danny Wallace as like a really weird role, which didn't make any sense. He doesn't even understand what his job is. So it's just all improvised silliness, you know. And then what I did is that I got the comedian Nick Helm, who a lot of his act, he's a lovely guy. A lot of his thing is shouting and being quite angry. And so he was the founder of Pez Fan TV. And so we had a meeting where we kind of had an argument. And so that whole idea just came from the chat, the whole thing. And I took their ideas and made it a real thing, which I think everyone really appreciated. Another time it happened, there's a video I did. So what I do is that I do the stream and then I usually clip out about 2 minutes for Twitter and stuff, which really helps bring people in. Because those clips act as like a sketch themselves. They usually have a little story and an ending. That's how I try to do it. The first time this started to really pick up attention was this one clip that went a little bit viral when I've got a player called Jarisic, who I got an email within the game saying that he wasn't available, and it was because when I went to read what it was, it said summons to represent, which means that he's gone to play for his country. But I took that as he's gone and fought in the war, like he's had to go and fight in a war. And then I just said that, and I just went with it a bit. And then I do team talks as well. I was doing a team talk, and someone in the chat said, "Read a letter out from Jarisic from the war," and then I just did it, all improvised. Uh, you know, if I'm about to laugh, I can just make it look like I'm about to cry, basically. Um, And then luckily, well, what happened is, so I didn't know this was going to happen. The player came back again. It said, oh, the player's returned. And so I took that as he's come back from the war. And then I started him immediately in the next game. And then because I'm controlling the game, I can, manipulate it sometimes. And so every time he got the ball, I just boot it out of play, like he'd gone a bit mad. So that I cut that together as a 2 minute thing, and that got quite a lot of popularity. That brought loads of viewers in, but most of that I'd say came from the chat suggesting stuff. And also, you got the thing, it's a bit like having a live stand-up audience where if you're riffing, you can see what people are responding to and what they find funny, so you just keep going with it. um Now it's got to the level where it's got so stupid. My Friday's episode last Friday was, I took them all out for team building, my players, and they all did stand-up comedy. We went into a comedy club, and I didn't mention I do the voices of each player. They've all got different British accents, and it's really stupid. And it was just me improvising some bad stand-up for an hour or whatever. I got I was emceeing it as the football manager, and I was calling out, I was picking on audience members as well, and like asking them where they're from, and like insulting them how a classic stand-up would. So that whole thing was very interactive. They even had, it became like a talent contest. So the top two, they had to pick their top three comedians, and then there was like a final roast battle between them. And there's a thing you can do on Twitch where you can do a poll in the chat. So they were voting for their favorite. So it became, I think that whole stream, we played one football match, and the rest of it was just this nonsense. And that was fully like, because I've seen people use Twitch who I don't think are using it the best way they can. Because there's people doing like comedy shows and not even looking at the chat. And it's like, that's not the point of it. It's not a DVD, it is an interactive thing. So it's like, it just keeps going almost. It's like just whatever I can think of. It's set up for you to make money. Like, I've already made a nice amount in about, I think it's about 6 weeks I've been doing it roughly. I've made a nice amount of money on there. Whereas I've used other stuff. I've done live streams on Facebook, Instagram. You can do Periscope, and there's no chance to make money. You can only do a thing where you do some performance, and then you can link it to that Buy Me a Coffee website or one of those, and you might get a few people. Whereas Twitch, there's a whole structure in place that everyone already understands, where they can give you a bit of money. Like, so usually now, I don't mind saying, normally on a football stream, I make at least £50 per stream, like minimum. That's what's been happening. Obviously, I don't know, it could all go away or get better. I can't. um but I didn't expect to make any money off this. For I was going to give it, honestly, like 3 months. I thought, if it doesn't work after that, I'm just going to abandon it, you know but there's people like me, there's other people, there's like these people that are so entertaining and really like into their games and stuff as well, that they're not from a background where they've had a lot of stuff. That, like me, they probably never been to the theatre, never got taken to the theatre by their parents when they were younger and all of that stuff, when it's like 20-30 quid a ticket, child ticket, and all of that nonsense. But they've got, they know the internet very well. They know gaming. The thing about Twitch, I think this is what I would have liked when I was like a teenager. It is definitely a bit strategic. Like, the whole thing about me putting the clips on Twitter, that's all to build an audience. That's, they, when one of those gets popular, I get a big wave of new Twitch followers and new viewers come on. Um, I'm getting my comedian friends on, because I know they're really funny, but also they are popular as well. Like, I had Josie Longlock. She's one of my, a really good friend of mine, Josie. She was on as the billionaire owner of the club, the complete opposite of what she is in real life. It's the sort of thing she's completely against. And I know when I do that, I know that she has a following. I know that she's going to tweet about it and stuff. So it's not like I'm just doing it for me. I am trying to build it. Also, on another thing I do, which I've not mentioned, is a web series called The Acting School of Excellence, where I play like a very pretentious acting coach. And excuse me, I'd say it's a bit like Between Two Ferns kind of thing meets Inside the Actors Studio. It's kind of that kind of vibe where it's very stupid improvised comedy. And even on that, like, I get people that are very, very funny, but also they tend to have a following. Like, I know what I'm, that's kind of what you have to do a little bit. If it was just me streaming, talking to the camera, it wouldn't, that wouldn't get as much. Like, in fact, I know that I can't say who, but I've got a couple of guests lined up to come on that who are very popular in the next few weeks, and I know that that's gonna help me, isn't it? So it is, yeah. I definitely done it a bit strategically, but I do focus on the entertainment side of it more. Like I plan it all out, try and make it as funny as I can. So what happened with the acting school was that in at the start of the year, I really wanted to do this acting school thing. I really liked the idea. I made 5 episodes. Um, I work with a director called Ben Malaby, who's like a really good comedy director. He does a lot of comedy shorts, and Saima Ferdoz, who's my producer. She's a friend of mine. She's a good like comedy producer as well. And it's something we do. We didn't set it up for money. We just wanted to do something we love, kind of, which has been great. My plan was to get that, do those episodes, that becomes a bit viral, and then I go off to Edinburgh Fringe and sell out the Fringe. Was my plan, right, of the year basically. What happened is that the acting school videos got hardly any views, really. Like the top one, I think Josie Long's one, it was on like 1,000 for ages, and it just kind of stayed there. And so it was it was really disappointing. Obviously, on YouTube, things can grow over time, but you want that instant thing, don't you? When you make something, you want it to be huge. But now it just made perfect sense. I got this following on Twitch that loved the Football Manager thing. The acting school is similar. It's kind of more improvised nonsense. It's me being a different character, but it's still my humor. So I thought it makes perfect sense to bring it over. Again, we were very lucky that our first guest was Michael Spicer, who does The Room Next Door, which is a really popular thing, and he's just like a friend of ours as well, who's just become like really famous. Um, so we knew that obviously getting him would help in terms of views and stuff. So yeah, we gave that a go a couple of weeks ago. It went very, very well. I really liked the sort of tone of it. It was really stupid comedy, like really weird. A lot of it was really subtle, and then some of it was really dumb. And then we did it again last week with Stevie Martin, she's a really good comedian. And I'm having a week off this week because it's been I've been doing too much Twitch. I'm really tired, and I'm gonna, yeah. So it's kind of just bringing those two things together, and now it's been really nice because people are going back and watching the old acting school videos. Nothing too bad. Like I said, I thought people were gonna come on and just have a go at me, kind of. There's been people come on trying to be a bit cheeky. I think it's more that I don't know if people got too comfortable or too excited. There were a few things where, like when I had a guest on, so when I have my Wednesday guest, one time it was the accountant the accountant of the club, and he was kind of having a go at me because it's all, I've spent too much money, it's all a mess. And like a couple of people were being like quite sweary about him, and I get that it might be for a joke, but it felt a bit wrong. It felt like a bit much, and I kind of told him to calm down a bit at the end. Someone said some sort of disgusting sexual thing. I've got on Twitch. On Twitch, sorry, you have mods, which are your moderators in the chat that you assign, and just like they time people and ban them and stuff if they're being stupid. So I didn't see what was said, but I saw that a few people got timed out. I think they were just making like dirty jokes, and it's like that's not really the tone that I want. So luckily, it's not got any abuse on there yet. But also one of the positives is that when it's really busy, the chat moves really fast. So even if you saw something that annoyed you, it's gone in like a second. Um, so overall, it's been very positive for me so far. It could get worse, if I guess it's one of those things where if it gets very popular, if something happens and it becomes like a proper viral hit or something, there'll probably be a lot more idiots. The people that watch me are generally very nice. Like, this is something else about Twitch. When I first joined it, I think I was a bit scared that it would be like Twitter or something where you've just got loads of nastiness, like everyone having a go at each other. I thought it was going to be that, but everyone is very supportive. Everyone kind of gets along on the chat. It's like people are becoming friends, which is really nice. Everyone is sort of in character. Oh, I forgot to say, everyone in the chat when I do the manager thing is my assistant manager. They're all my assistants, so they all get a say in everything. In the acting school, they're all acting students. They're all in the audience, and I say that they've all paid £800 to be there because it's a very prestigious thing. Um, So I think so the acting school videos have been getting less live viewers. So, it's people don't want that as much, and that's fine as well. They're two quite different things. It's not like one has replaced the other. It's usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday's football, and then on a Thursday it's the acting thing. So, yeah, the one isn't taking the other's place. It's not like I'm doing this now. And also there's people that like the acting school that I probably don't like the football as much. I've found it really interesting how people have come onto Twitch because obviously since lockdown, a lot of comedians and actors and stuff have been giving it a go, and it's been really fascinating seeing people doing it wrong most of the time, like not taking the time to learn what Twitch is really. Like what I did is that I spent a good week, a lockdown week, where I was doing nothing else, just watching loads and loads of YouTube videos about Twitch, how to make it work, the whole thing about engaging with chat, how important that is. Having your alerts set up so that if someone follows you or subscribes, you can thank them properly and all of that stuff. It's all very important. Understanding the currency on Twitch, which is bits, it's called, which like 100 bits is like $1, I think, and people can give you bits and then you read their thing out, and that's a whole other thing. And I've been a guest on like these comedy streams, and at the start of it, the host said like, "You can give us bits if you want. I don't really know what it is," and then moved on. And it's like that's not. Why would anyone want to contribute then? If you've not taken the time to know what you're even on or what you're doing, it's like it's disrespectful to the whole thing. Um, there's some people that just do. I mean, obviously a variety and stuff is fine, but there's people that are doing full shows like you would in stand up, and like I said, not paying any attention to anyone that's saying anything in the chat. And it's like that's why they're there. They're saying it to you now live. That's the excitement of it. They're not. It's not a YouTube comment for you to look at later. They want you to see it, and if you like it, say something. And I try to speak to as many people as I can. Um, and obviously, the good thing is you can ignore anyone that if someone makes a suggestion that doesn't work for you or doesn't make sense, you just ignore it. For now, the football manager thing is everything I want it to be. Like literally, did a whole stand-up gig with all my players. So, you know, I was kind of, I guess, satirizing a lot of crap stand-up comedy and that. Um, did a whole karaoke thing. I did a team talk. Have you seen the film Mulan?
Cool.
Mulan or
Uh,
Mulan, the Disney one.
uh,
It's about the girl who goes to fight in a war in place of her dad, and she has to pretend to be a man. It's really really good. It's one of my favorites. But there's a song that one of the characters does in it to like get them all in the mood. And I just had that idea in one of my earlier streams. I thought I'm going to do a very important team talk because it's a huge game, and I just sang that song at the players, and I can't sing, and people were going mental for it because it had just been Football Manager like this guy, and then suddenly I'm like singing, and it's a bit of a musical, and so it's just as silly as I can make it now. Um, there's all sorts of like I've thought of all sorts of weird storylines I can do in future. Um, yeah, so I think I'm going to stick with Football Manager for now and just see what. The only thing I might do is that I might change it in terms of I'm doing it 3 times a week now, and I might bring that down to maybe two, or I don't know, or maybe do more acting school episodes. If it kind of depends what takes off and also what I feel like doing, I guess. What a lot of young, I know a lot of men when they were younger, or even now, or I mean it could be women as well, but I know that a lot of guys play games like FIFA and just pretend they're the manager in their head. That's all you do. And I'm just doing that. And it's really weird that no one's done this before. It blows my mind. When I started, I thought there's probably some famous guy who's done this way better, but it's worth a try. But the fact that no one's even tried I just wear a suit on the top half of my body, and I just am, that's literally all it is. Um, yeah, I'm very lucky. I think I've stumbled onto a thing which it's like I guess it's quite rare when it happens, but it's like a good idea that no one's done yet. Twitch is free it's free to broadcast completely. You don't have to spend anything. Obviously, you have to spend money on a computer or a laptop or whatever you're using. And then I've bought a microphone, webcam, and a little light. And overall, my whole stuff. So I've got a decent PC. It's because I bought it for video editing. It wasn't for gaming or anything. My costs overall have been probably like £400, maybe a bit more, which to now be doing something which could one day become a job of mine almost. Like I've made that money back. Like that, it's not expensive, you know. Um, some people stream off of the PlayStation and stuff like that, and I think that might be even cheaper. I don't know all the costs, but like that's what I mean. Like you can the way technology is now and everything. You know, you can make like a short film for fairly cheap and stuff now when you can even 10 years ago, really, like a good quality one. It just feels really set up for people. On a personal level, I've been quite frustrated over the last 4 years because I got an Edinburgh Newcomer nomination thing in 2016, and then I was able to start getting paid, and I've done really cool stuff. I've had a really good, I think, career and stuff so far, but like for me, TV, which is what I wanted to break into, it's been the case that I've only honestly really been offered stuff about race and religion, which I don't want to do really. Like a lot, like it's fine to do it sometimes, but a lot of the stuff would make you cringe. Like it's really just awful ideas. Um, and now I am just a football manager doing all my own humor. Like the first episode, I said, or the first or second, I drink a coffee every time I stream or a tea or whatever, and I said I was drinking a Pepsi, a hot cup of Pepsi, and then Pepsi became our sponsor of the kit, spelt wrong. And but that's become such a thing that people have hung on to. It's like a catchphrase now. Like the amount of tweets I get about hot Pepsi, um, and asking me the best way to warm it up, uh, and all of this. Like I didn't have that happen before. Like you know, you stand up is a very different thing. Um, I didn't have the chance. I never had, and I've never been on like a TV show where I can be silly. I've been on BBC One being serious on a Sunday morning show. Um, and that's kind of it really. I only get like I got quite annoyed. This was in February. I got asked to go on BBC, I think it was BBC One again or BBC Two, to debate someone in the morning about like excuse me. Excuse me. It was to debate someone about like Islamophobia. So they were obviously going to have me on with some racist guy, and I was just meant to like debate him now. And it's like I never want to do that in my life. Why would I do it on BBC Two, where I'd get destroyed on Twitter? So many people would be having a go at me. um, and it's like that just keeps happening. And now like it was really nice actually. The other day, I think it was Saturday. Um, I got asked to go on Talk Sport as the football manager. So I was in character. I'll send you the clip. It's quite funny. They made it quite easy for me, which was really nice. Um, and yeah, like stuff like that never used to happen. So there's something else in place which is really nice, called a raid on Twitch, which is where you do a thing where and it's just etiquette. This is just what everyone does. Where oh no, sorry, I've gone on the wrong screen. There you are. Um, let's say like I finish my stream at 11 p.m. or whatever, and then what I do is I have a look at who's online. So if you're streaming live at like at 11, you're playing some game or whatever. I can raid you, which means that I send a big, like the majority of my viewers to your channel, and they're just there. So my channel becomes yours, and obviously people leave, and a lot of people will follow you and stick around. So what I've done over the last my last few streams is that I've found someone who seems nice and hasn't got many viewers. So like last time, I think the guy had like 5 viewers, and he's playing like Sims or whatever, some weird game. And then suddenly he's got like 300, and he's going mad. You know, like he can't believe it. It's like such a nice thing to happen. Um, It was done to me as well. The comedian Ian Sterling, Scottish comedian, who I think he's best known for he did the voice on Love Island. He was the voiceover guy, but he's a really good comedian. He's done loads of stuff. He raided me once, and that really helped because he plays FIFA on his stream, so he's just more of a normal kind of stream, more of the sort of thing you normally see where he's playing FIFA and he's chatting on the side. So he's a very funny guy. He's being funny and he's just playing FIFA. That's all it is. But it's it's really good. He raided me, which means he sent I don't remember what it was. It was maybe 500 people or something. He sent them straight to me, and suddenly they're watching a guy being a football manager. So in that sense, and then I got loads of those people followed me and have stuck around. Whereas if you raid someone who's doing something very different to you, people are less likely to stick around. But there's all these things within Twitch that are like that whole raid thing is just so useful, and it's such a nice thing to do for people. And also you can host other channels. So if like someone goes live, I can host them on my channel. So if you go to my thing, it will be them on the thing and it says they're being hosted. So there's all these very nice things in place already, that kind of help you support each other. It was the day when we had our cup final, and I was building up for ages, and I was genuinely nervous in real life as well because I don't know if I'm going to win. Like I could lose. I sometimes lose games even when I try to win on there. Um, it was playing Arsenal in the final, so it's going to be hard. And that was the stream where I started it, and so the stream before I had about 400 on average, and I thought that's insane. Like I can't. Like I was telling my agent about it, and like I was like, I can't believe what's happening. And it was that stream where it reached. I looked over at the chat at one point at the view account, and it was like 1,100. And I think I was like probably like blushing. Like I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe there was over 1,000 people watching me. Um, and then also, so you can do Twitch is quite good. It sends you an email with all your stats at the end of the stream, and it tells you your average viewers. And I thought it was probably 400 on average, and it just went up to 1,000 sort of by accident. Someone tweeted about it or whatever, but it was I think it was like 900 on average for 2 hours, and that's just because like as a comedian, I think the biggest gig I've done in terms of numbers was 2,000. That was a short spot in this big thing, and I've done another one for like 600 people. So generally, I don't perform to that many people. It's usually smaller comedy clubs of like 200, which is still amazing, by the way. So this number of this many, like nine, I couldn't believe 900 people being into it for 2 hours. This all this nonsense about me drinking hot Pepsi, me doing all these like the players having their own voices, me having arguments. Like there was an episode where I had a fight with a player. I think that was my personal favorite of things I've done, where he kept mouthing off, and then I emptied the dressing room. We actually had a punch up, and then we earned respect for each other. But all of that ridiculous humor that I think is only in like that I like, suddenly all of these people are into it. Which, yeah, because as a comedian, I always kind of thought I'm not doing better because maybe my stuff is kind of niche. Um, and maybe it's not as niche as I thought, kind of thing. But yeah, that for me, honestly, I had to lie down after, like, ended the stream, and I went and laid on the sofa just in silence for like 10 minutes because I got genuinely overwhelmed.